We can see in the unfaithful kingship of Saul, Saul, in many ways, is not like Jesus. Now, in some ways, he is like Jesus. Actually, David has some positive things to say about Saul that we'll get to in this episode that I think are really important. That David actually says, hey, we don't want to throw everything out about Saul because he was always willing. I think the exact quote that I just read and reflected on again, which I think was really good, in remembering Saul and Jonathan, he said, Jonathan's bow was always ready to go into battle. It was always facing forward. And Saul's sword was always stained with the blood of the enemies of God's people. And so he gives us this positive picture that Saul's line was always willing to go into battle for God's people. Now, was he foolish? Yes. Did he torpedo his own kingship through his character flaws? Absolutely. But one thing we can learn from Saul is Saul was always willing to go into the battle. Now, with the glaring exception of we don't see him going into battle to fight Goliath, which we talked about on our last episode as well. But we can say, hey, maybe one of the ways that Saul does point us to Jesus is that Jesus is the king who is always out ahead going into battle for his people. And we can say in that way, Saul did in some respects reflect Christ's kingship.